Basement, level vibes with another one, straight up, blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benscop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention, education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benscop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benscop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop, who tell the truth? Mark Benscop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benscop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benscop, straight up from the root. Mark Benscop.
Yeah, my name is Jacinty Caldata Francis Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cop, and what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have none.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
How we gonna do a body man walk right now? You ready? Box, let me go now. Hear me sing now. Body walk. Body walk, body walk, everything, body walk, truck, body walk, body walk, body walk, everything, body, listen, body.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
Good evening. Let's get ready to rock and roll right here on 107.1 FM. Look, right off the bat, we are going to be dealing with lots and lots of stuff tonight. But let me just welcome all of you to 107.1 FM, the station that has always been boycotted by the PPP regime. We don't complain. Nobody stands up and fight for us, really, but we have some dedicated folks who are part of the 107.1 FM. Such is part of life. We've got to move on, though, right? Hey, lots of things we want to touch on, but let's not forget the elections. The elections were actually rigged by the PPP. The 2020 elections were rigged by the PPP regime. And I say this to remind some of you who might be watching. We have all sorts of people watching. And we got to respect the fact that this platform is across the board. All sorts of people watching, and it's okay. But specifically, you got the message. Now, for those of you who have been peddling this untruth, I watched as Irfan Ali and his entourage from the Guyana Consulate and other places, circus in Brooklyn, as they invaded Church Avenue and Utica Avenue. They invaded. That's what they did. And Irfan Ali didn't do it because he loved you guys. We know why he did it. But I've heard some folks saying, oh, we got to respect Irfan Ali. He is the president of the country. No. And I heard some other individual said that he's a democratically elected. Really? Democratically elected? I had to pause for a moment and I watched those individuals. You Irfan Ali is not, and the PPP is not a democratically elected government. And y'all got to put that in your pipe and smoke. Put that in your pipe and smoke. Irfan Ali is not the democratically elected president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. The 2020, can our operator please get that photograph, please? That's not, I mean, he's eating roti in a kitchen there. It is a kitchen. Okay. All right. I don't have much to say about that, but look, operator, please, let's find another. Thank you. So there are some folks who are saying, oh, Irfan Ali is a democratically elected president. Come on now. Democratically elected president of where? Let me remind some of you guys who probably have been far, far away from Guyana for a while. Let me say to you guys, this was the commission that GCOM Commission's headquarters. This here, what you see, it was fake. It was all a setup to make it appear as though the AP and UPNC did something wrong on elections night. It was all a masquerade. It was all a setup, guys. It was a setup to make it appear that the elections were fraudulent and that the coalition did something wrong. And so the boogeyman in all of this, guess who? You guys know the boogeyman. You guys know who the boogeyman? Mingo. They made Mingo into the boogeyman. That's right. Mingo into the boogeyman. And then they went on to charge the CEO, the Chief Executive or the chief elections officer, Mr. Lowenfield. They went on and charged his deputy, Miss Roxanne Myers. But all of a sudden, those who suddenly are talking, oh, this is one Guyana, man. We all got to live as one. You don't see them standing up in the street corners of Brooklyn. Or you don't see them when they have their little parties and they're promoting their stuff as promoters, mind you. You don't hear them advertising on their flyers, let's free these individuals. No, you don't. You don't, because they don't care about these people. They don't care about the injustices that's happening back home. They just turn a blind eye. They don't care about anything, but yet they want us to care about them. Yet they want us to accept when they invite the oppressors into Brooklyn and other places. No, it is not going to happen. And it is not, right, Tony Hawk? It is not going to be business as usual. Enough is enough. I hope you guys understand. I hope you guys are reading between the lines. Enough is enough. And, you know, there wouldn't be much patience with folks who pop up with their little Jim Cock bring Ramgoat story. It is not going to work. You see, it says support those that support you. It is pretty clear. Support those that support you. Support those that support you. If the message isn't clear by now, I don't know when it's going to be clear. And anytime any one of them want to get disrespectful, we will up the ante and it will spread. The boycott will spread in other areas and other business ventures. Rickford Burke is going to be with us this evening. We're waiting for Rickford Burke. Not sure if he's in the studio already, putting on makeup and all these. Rickford is going to be with us. It's 16 minutes after. 16 minutes after 9 o'clock. And look, Desmond Tutu, the late Desmond Tutu. You guys know Desmond Tutu. He was in the struggle to free South Africa of an apartheid regime. He risked his life and all manner of things. All manner of things. Look, this is what Desmond Tutu said. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. I repeat, if you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. And I hope my friend, Pastor James Richmond, good night to you. I hope you're watching. This is the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu of South Africa. This is what he said. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. And when you choose the side of the oppressor, guess what the entire community is going to do? They are going to support those that support you. And folks cannot expect to embrace the oppressors and to expect people within the same community who are being oppressed, especially their people back home, to support their businesses. It's just not going to happen. This is 2024. No time for gimmick. No time for people to pussyfoot on this issue. You've got to be serious. The PPP regime is not about you. It's all about them. And if they can use you, I'm talking. Look, I want to talk directly to my brothers and sisters. Some of them cursing me out, but it's okay. Many years, man, it's like water on duck's back. I want to address them, whether they're promoters, whatever they are. You know, everybody has got to make a living. And I understand that, and I respect that. And don't get me wrong. If a man is hustling, that's his prerogative. That's his choice. whether they sell, it doesn't matter. But when you are going to choose the side of the oppressor, that is when it becomes disrespectful. That is when it becomes disrespectful. You cannot expect to embrace the oppressors in the name of whatever, in the name of your business or selfishness. It is not going to work. It is just not going to work, right, Golly God? It is not going to work. So don't come with this Jim Cockburn Ram Good story is, black on black. And, if our brothers and sisters who are business owners want the community to respect them and to support them, then they cannot behave like sellouts. They cannot invite. And this is where I want to make it lucidly clear again. I want to break it down, so that everyone can understand. I want to break it down. It doesn't matter to me the ethnicity of a president of a country. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. What matters is how they treat the citizens of the country. Right now, we have someone who's masquerading as the president of Guyana, and his party has been in office under questionable circumstances. There wasn't a democratically elected president or government right now. And they are ill-treating citizens of Guyana. And once they are ill-treating citizens of Guyana, then I will stand up and fight against them by every and any legal means necessary. It doesn't matter in the process whether I'm locked up 100 times, I'm jailed as I have on several occasions. It doesn't matter whether it's 5 or whether it's 20 years in solitary confinement. It doesn't matter. What matters is standing up for what is right. I'm not going to sit and have dialogues, meaningless dialogues with oppressors. It's not going to happen. It is just not going to happen at all. And at some point in time, we've got to take a position. Sometimes the position might not look good temporarily, but in the long run, it is to the benefit of everyone. We've got to make a decision. And when we have folks who say that they look like us, but they're embracing the oppressors, oppressors doesn't mean people who don't look like us. There are some people who look like us that are oppressors as well. Look, our operator is saying to us that Rickford Burke is here. I don't know whether we should pull out the red carpet for him. Look, the operator keeps clicking the button. Rickford is here. Rickford. So what do you want me to do? Stop talk and just put Rickford on just like that? Just like that, I must just stop talking?
Of course, I am me.
Okay.
I am me.
It's what it is.
Where's the carpet?
Good night to you, Mr. Burke. How are things your end, sir?
Good night, sir. I'm doing well. I welcome all the attention that the government and their supporters are giving to me. I feel flattered. I feel honored. I feel they have rolled out the red carpet for you and I.
That's okay. I prefer donkey carts and all these things. I'm a roti. Not that kind of roti. Sorry. I'm a roti kind of dal puri.
Can you clap roti in a bucket? You can clap roti in your hand or the bucket.
Look,
or
man,
shake it in a bucket.
I grew up, Rickford. I grew up in the country, right? And I could clap roti. I go in any kind of kitchen. And when you're cooking, don't expect kitchen to be spick and span. But how this man fit in this kitchen though? How could he be in someone's restaurant like this? That's another story. But what's going on, Mr. Burke? How are things?
I'm doing well. I'm watching on. I'm happy to be here talking with you and your audience.
Yeah, we thank you so much. Let's begin with there was a meeting a couple of days ago through CGID with the members of Congress and their representatives who turned up as well. What was the objective? And thanks for the invite. I was there via Zoom, and I enjoyed that meeting. It's always a pleasure seeing some of my old friends from Congress there. But what was the objective of that meeting, please, sir?
Well, the objective was to update the members of Congress as a follow-up to the Washington conference, and we, who are their direct constituents, had an obligation to update them of the situation since the the Washington conference, and as well as to present them with some of the evidence that they had asked for in Washington. So this meeting was planned for a while, and we finally were able to get our schedules to meet and to match, and we had the meeting. It was very fruitful. I am happy with the response of the members of Congress, and we'll have many more follow-up meetings with them.
Lots of follow-up meetings with them indeed. Some of the things were discussed. In fact, I made my presentation. I rather not elaborate. I'd rather not get into that because sometimes we can't just let our political opponents know everything that we do and we discuss. But it was a fruitful meeting indeed. It's 25 minutes after 9 o'clock. We know elections around the corner. Presidential elections around the corner. Your good friend Donald Trump is under pressure and all manner of things. What's going on? Are you preparing? Because we've got to hit the streets and people got to vote over here. What's happening?
Most definitely. And I hope that our communities all across the United States, and in particular the swing states like Georgia, Florida, Pennsylvania, Arizona, North Carolina, lots of Guyanese in those states. Those states will play a pivotal role in whichever party is going to be victorious. And we did discuss Guyanese participation in the past and future, particularly this election is coming up at the meeting. And I want to encourage all of my Guyanese brothers and sisters in the states that I mentioned in particular, but throughout the United States, to ensure they exercise their franchise to vote and elect a new president and elect a new Congress. It's pivotal. We have to come to grips with, in politics, we would not get everything that we want, but it's important that the people who are in power are sympathetic to our interests. And so whenever we make our decisions to vote, we must ensure that that decision impacts positively our decision as a collective, as a people, because we saw what happened from the time President Obama left office to the time when President Biden won. It was not a pretty sight for immigrants, and it was not a pretty sight for African Americans. For what I say not.
Certainly not a pretty sight indeed, but even some may argue that even under Bill Clinton and Obama, more folks were sent packing and they were supposed to have some really meaningful immigration reform, especially under Clinton as well. We didn't see much of that. Under under Obama, people expected more to be done. Under President Biden, people also expect more, but hopefully at some time around maybe the second term of President Biden, we'll see meaningful immigration reform.
That's an important point, because the Democratic Party, who most of us gravitate to, hasn't always been friendly to us. Immigration reform almost got passed in the Senate. As a matter of fact, it passed the House, and the Senate held it up, and the senators that held it up were Democrats. And all of them lost, regardless of the fact that they held up immigration reform, and the Republicans took back the Senate. And it's important that we advocate. That's why we're so active in our advocacy, because we have to meet with our representatives, we have to meet with our members of Congress, we have to meet with our senators, for them to understand what our positions are, and for them to also learn how impactful our votes are. We have to vote as a collective, as Guyanese Americans and as Caribbean Americans. And we have to make sure that when we vote and our candidates win, they deliver for us. And that's where we have fell short. We have not fought to ensure that the candidates we support deliver for us, whether it's in the Assembly or the State Senate or the City Council or the Mayor or the Governor or in Congress. And that's something we have learned as CGID, and that's how we're so active at City Hall and at the state capitol and in Washington.
Rickford, I know there are lots of our listeners right now are saying, here, Naman, we want to hear what's happening in Guyana. That's why we tune in. So let's go straight to Guyana. I need for you to explain. I know. Sorry about that. I almost scared the living hell out of you.
Scared of the living deal.
Yeah, and our listeners as well. But explain in your own words, your opinion on why is this man so anti-African Guyanese?
Because it's in his DNA. He's an apartheid racist, and he believes that Guyana should be dominated by East Indian ethnic supremacy, and not East Indian generally, PPP East Indians. And I make no apologies for saying that. And the PPP over the years have been able to scare people by conflating criticism of their racism with criticism of Indian people. And we must disabuse ourselves and the nation of that trap. We must speak to racism and racial discrimination. And Bharat Jagdeo represents that. Bharat Jagdeo has formed death squads to kill African Guyanese, over 1,000 Afro-Guyanese. Bharat Jagdeo has used the government policies to discriminate against Afro-Guyanese. Bharat Jagdeo has conducted ethnic cleansing in the public service. They complain when East Indians, or when they perceive East Indians are not dominating a particular sector or a particular department, but they don't complain when they dominate everything. They dominate the sugar industry, they dominate industry and commerce, they dominate export, import, they dominate all the contracts. They're the contractors, they dominate local content, they dominate everything. They don't complain. But when we complain, they say that's racist because they want to make it taboo and they want to make it prohibitive for us to talk about it so that they could continue to be racist. I don't believe in that. They can call me racist all they want. I believe in standing up for the rights and interests of Black people and other ethnicities in Guyana who do not support the PPP. I make no apologies for it. They came, their foreparents, Bharat Jagdeo and those in the PPP, their foreparents came and met the slaves. The slaves built Guyana before they came. They came as indentured servants. And let me say this on indentured servants. I noticed that Irfan Ali and Hilary Beckles and some of these people on their advocacy are trying to link reparations for slavery and reparations for indentured servants. That's an insult to our indomitable foreparents who were slaves. Slavery is the biggest atrocity known in the world. And reparations should not be confused with persons who practiced indentured labor because there was an exchange. There was some form of payment for indentured labor. Slavery, they forced us, they killed us, they brought us in chains to come and work for nothing, for free, for massa, for slave owners. And for people like Irfan Ali to claim that they love Black people and to insult us by trying to say that they must also benefit from reparations is ridiculous. And I make no apologies for saying that.
Yep. 33 minutes after 9 o'clock. Let's go to this tape. It's ridiculous indeed, because the evidence is quite clear that Bharat Jagdeo and the PPP regime headed by Irfan Ali, they do not have respect for persons of African descent. We see it every single day. And I hope some of you would understand that when he comes up and he walks into your kitchen and he claps a roti and he hugs you, whether in Brooklyn or wherever you are, and he jumps on a bicycle, do not be fooled by that. Do not be fooled by that at all. It doesn't mean that they like you. They just don't. So be careful when a clown jumps on a bicycle. It doesn't mean they like you. Rickford, let's go to this here. I want you and our listeners to hear briefly, what this young man has to say about the PPP, and specifically about Irfan Ali and Jagdeo?
Champions of Afro-Ghanaians. It's not so. It's not so. In fact, they're the worst thing that could happen to Afro-Ghanaians because they want to preach victimhood everywhere they go. You just listen to their speeches. Nothing positive to young kids. Not a
All right. So he says that people like us are preaching victimhood all over the place. Every single time that's what we speak. So in other words, they expect these sort of brutality. Look what's happening. Look what the policemen doing to that youngster happened to be of African descent. Look what they've done to this woman happened to be of African descent. Look at what they've done to majority of these people that they've kicked out, broke down their structures, and every single thing happened to be of African descent. We see this every single day, but yet we must just shut our mouths, don't say anything, and just accept these things to happen. Accept them as they happen. Don't say a word. But let's continue, please.
Well, get a scholarship, go and study, get a job, go apply for the house lot, get something, start a business, take the grant from the government. Nothing about that. Oh, don't worry, don't shake Ali's hand. Don't shake Ali's hand. Don't eat the roti that Ali cooked. That kind of thing.
Hi, good morning, comrades. I was made to understand that some people are refusing to buy the hot dog tickets as it relates to the PVP. I want to see the list of names of people who buy the hot dogs. And if those persons who refuse to buy the hot dogs and they are on this cash grant list that the government is going to give in April, I'm going to remove their names for failure to support the PVP. And I serious, I make a joke.
Guyanese brothers and sisters, you would have heard our General Secretary, the Vice President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Mr. Barry Jagdeo himself, saying that APNU isn't the champion of Afro-Guyanese. Well, let me be the first to tell you, Mr. Barry Jagdeo, APNU and the AFC correlation were never the champions for Afro-Guyanese. And it is not the AFC-APNU correlation that is pushing division in this country. It is your government, Mr. Barry Jagdeo. You would have heard the other vice note where one of your affiliates would have said that if the people aren't supporting the PPP ADAG, like every other thing, every other decision the PPP makes, if your affiliates and if the citizenship, each and every Guyanese don't support it, we are seen as an enemy of the state and an enemy of your government.
All right. So this young teacher, this young man has it. He's speaking for thousands upon thousands of people. If you don't support the PPP, you are seen as an enemy. And if you don't accept their hot dogs, you're seen as an enemy. And majority of people who are feeling the squeeze are persons of African descent. Follow up on what this young man has to say, sir.
Well, he's perfectly right. And first of all, the person who I understand is a head teacher or something who made that announcement, he should not be living in his community. The reason why the PPP gets away with these atrocities is because we tolerate it. The people of Guyana sit back and allow themselves to be abused. In any other country, the PPP would be out of power for its abuse. For what they did to Maka, they'll be out of power. For what they've done to the nurses and the teachers and the vendors, they'll be out of power. But Guyanese, I think we're from the docile tribe of Africa or something.
Not right? All of us. Not all of us.
Exactly, not all of us, but generally speaking, because we accept the abuse. We accept the abuse. And Jagdeo is right. The APNU doesn't represent the APNU AFC did not represent Black people. They represented Guyanese. It was the broadest possible coalition of Guyanese. It was the epitome of shared government because every aspect of the society had a stake in the government. And that's what we need for the future. But coming back to Barry Jagdeo. Barry Jagdeo and the PPP are in a difficult spot right now. They know they don't have the votes to win an election. Traditionally, they have been abusive to Afro-Guyanese. They've dismissed us. They think that their ethnic supremacy will take them into government until Christ comes. And so a lot of their supporters have migrated. And they realize that with the kind of scrutiny the world has on Guyana now, they can't vote for people who are abroad and they're people like they did in 2020. And so they're now appealing to Black people. They have now arisen and realized that, oh my God, we need black votes. So all of a sudden, Bar Jagdeo, that killer, that murderer who formed death squads and financed those death squads to kill black people who challenged him and called them criminals like he's calling you and I, he just realized he needs black votes. So they're now scrambling, and their tactic to win over black people is to throw bribes and money and inducement at us, rather than come and apologize and say, listen, this party has been a racist party. That's what I want to see the PPP do. This party has been a racist party. We have made mistakes. We abused black people. We've taken you for granted. We've demonstrated contempt for you, and we are apologizing. We want to start over. The PPP, from the inception after independence, set out to destroy the lives of black people. 1961 to 1964, they conducted a war against black people. They killed us. They maimed us. They burned our homes and burned our villages and chased us out of certain villages. And then
in
when Burnham,
2024, we're seeing the same thing.
Exactly. And when Burnham was in power, the PNC, we had national tranquility. When I grew up in Indian villages, Cove John Lenore, I didn't know anything about racism. My friends were all Indians. But from 1992, because of the government policies and government pronouncements, I began to see the difference in how people are treated. And then Bar Jagdeo formed these death squads and killed so many people. And they're upset because we're calling for justice.
And they are very upset indeed. Under his regime, scores of death squads were formed. Many of those death squads, according to court documents and evidence that came out in some of those trials, admissions were made that the death squads were linked to the PPP, and the PPP condoned the death squads. Under his presidency, hundreds of mainly young black men were slaughtered, and to this day, there is no justice at all. Many folks will remember Gadraj. Gadraj has had his visas revoked, all of his visas. The Americans, the British, and the Canadians revoked his visa because he was linked, not allegedly, he was linked to death squads. Murderers, guys like Sean Hines, who admitted that he's a murderer, Axel Williams, Mark Kozerki, and others. So there is a history indeed of the PPP, especially during Jagdeo's presidency, that was linked to death squad. That's responsible for the deaths of hundreds of mainly young black men. In fact, it was your friend, Rickford, your friend, not mine, Freddie Kissoon, who actually said that Jagdeo is an ideological racist. They settled that matter, I believe,
and he proved it in court. He proved it in court.
Yeah. But why isn't it that we don't have anybody in Guyana that's challenging this guy, just as Freddie did with the help of many others behind the scene, and sue Jagdeo, take him to court as an ideological racist, that he's causing problems throughout the country with economic genocide? Burke?
Yeah, I mean, he's a blight on the country. He's bewitched the country. He is the de facto president. And I think it's intimidation. I think that the international community, and, as you know, we had certain discussions in our meetings led by me about this gentleman, and I make no bones about it. The international community must ensure that he's held to account. I continue to advocate that he must be charged. He must be prosecuted somehow, even by the World Court or in Guyana, and be held accountable. And he must face capital punishment. You don't kill people and get away with it. He has done it, and now he sits perched high illegally in the vice presidency of Guyana, when he's a murderer and a killer, and pronouncing on who are criminals. This man is an arch hardcore criminal, the most criminally inclined politician in the Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere. And I don't understand why the international community has him sitting there. He's a criminal and he's a killer, and he should not be in government. And let me say this. There are Afro-Guyanese in the PPP that I call slave catchers. You know, in Africa, when the Europeans went to buy and catch slaves or take people into captivity for slavery, there were some black Africans helping them. They are slave catchers.
Not,
Sorry,
not, 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 not in Brooklyn, though.
we'll come to that. They're
Continue.
slave, they're slave traders. Slave traders. And then you had those when the slaves got away, went out there and caught and brought them back. They're slave catchers. Those blacks in the PPP, like Onish Waldron, like Mark Phillips, like Juana Jill, like Joe Hamilton, they're slave catchers. They go out there and they set entrapment for black people to come into the PPP, to be as a chameleon, a camouflage, so that they could go out and tell the world, oh, we are not racist. We have Waldron and we have Mark Phillips. They have no influence in the party. They have no influence on government policy. They have no influence on what Barry Jagdale goes out there and abuse black people every Thursday. From the highest ranking woman in the opposition, in the opposition political AFC, to others. He just abuses women and they say nothing. The police force is used to hunt down and persecute black people, young black men. They say nothing. They're slave catchers. And the Afro-Guyanese community must not respect them. They must see them for what they are. They are camouflage for the racism that is perpetrated on Guyanese, African Guyanese, by the PPP.
You know, Rickford, let's head to Brooklyn as we look at the time, 46 minutes after 9 o'clock on 107.1 FM. Recently, Irfan Ali, if our operator can get this kunumunu off the screen, and add another kunumunu from one kunumunu to the next kunumunu.
The fake shake.
Recently, Irfan Ali hopped into Brooklyn. Just a quick stop. He was encouraged by a few individuals who organized it. Those who organized and helped to facilitate it, they know who they are. But I want you to listen to what happened at the Hills restaurant when they were talking to Irfan Ali.
Take responsibility. We want you to look out for us. We do not want no segregation. No. We are one people. And if we're going to do it, let's do it together. Because we have respect for you. Thank you.
All right, President. All right, I would have it no other way. No other way. There is only one way forward, and that is united. That is for us to band together, for us to understand the challenges together.
Can't listen to the hypocrisy there, Rickford. But those people who met with them, the amount of evidence that's back home that this guy Irfan Ali is disrespecting mainly persons of African descent. I mean, I personally felt insulted when people
responsibility.
We respect you. How could that be possible? What's your take, please, on what you heard just now?
Well, the call for no segregation and the call for the government to, if that's what was meant, the government to develop the country for everybody is the right one. The issue is, however, is that the government is a racist government. The government has been discriminating against black people. The government has been denying black contractors contract. The government has been taking away security contract from black security companies. The government has been discriminating against the teachers. They're discriminating against the nurses. The government has been attacking us in the diaspora. The government has been sending police officers to attack Guyanese leaders right here in Brooklyn, including myself. The government has sent gunmen to our homes. This government, no one in this government should not be allowed to come into the black community anywhere without being held accountable for their discrimination against us. And listen, Mark, this is our position as CGID. Everybody has a right to entertain whomever they want on their property in their business establishments. We're not going to deny that. Our position is that we will not support, CGID will not support anybody who fails to hold the government accountable for atrocities committed against Afro-Guyanese. That has been our position. We also say that we respect the right of anybody who says, well, if you fail to hold the government accountable, I can't support you. We respect that right. That right is equal to your right to entertain anybody at your premises. That's your right. On the other hand, people have a right to say, well, I'm not going to spend my money there. Just like they say, I'm going to boycott Macy's. I'm going to boycott Lord and Taylor or whatever it is. People have that right. And I've been seeing this discussion and this attack on me. That's fine. I like when the PPP attack me. It means that they're paying attention to me. But I've seen people attack. So the government attack people. Persons in Brooklyn joining with the racist PP government to attack yourself, to attack me, to attack others. And I want to caution this. What happened in Brooklyn was that our community allowed Irfan Ali to ride in on a horse, cut campaign ads, showing that he is well received by Afro-Guyanese in the diaspora, and left. He's not coming back to our community. He came here specifically to cut campaign ads, to mingle with Black people, and to go back in Guyana and make videos for the campaign. That's what this is about. And so we have to be alert. We cannot allow ourselves to be used. And those people attacking people because persons said they would reserve their right to act in a certain way, it's unbecoming. Because you can't, on one hand, say you have a right to entertain people, and on the other hand, others don't have a right not to support you. Even though CGID has not called anybody to do anything, we've said what we will do. What we respect rather, the rights of others to say, we want to choose how we will spend our money. That's a right that everybody recognizes in America, and we should cut the nonsense out. Stop joining with the PPP to attack Black leaders. If you want to have a dialogue in this community about what happened, let's have a dialogue. But don't attack people because they say they want to spend their money in a certain way. That's their right, and it's your right to bring whomever you want on your property. But I'm saying that I reserve the right not to support you if you fail to hold them accountable. How can you have Irfan Ali in Brooklyn when they have spies? They have military officers right there going around on Church Avenue following Black leaders around. How can you entertain that without holding them accountable? That's our position, and we maintain that position, and we have no apologies to make. We should not entertain them in our community without holding them accountable.
And for those, my personal view, and I continue to be consistent, that businesses that embrace the oppressors and disrespect the community should be boycotted. And
that's your right. That's your right to your opinion.
And straightforward position. Many people within the community in Brooklyn are boycotting those businesses. They know those businesses. They know where to spend the money and where not to spend the money. Those individuals who were involved in this hijacking of our community in Brooklyn, they need to come forward and apologize to the entire community. You did say earlier, Rickford, that the community allowed Irfan Ali in there. No, the community did not allow.
Well, you know what I meant. I meant some people in the community
disrespected the entire Brooklyn community, and the community deserves better. That is why the boycott is in full swing against those businesses.
Mark, let me say this.
The boycott.
I want to specifically address those people who have been criticizing persons who say they will boycott businesses. Barrett Jagdale last year, for months, called for the boycott of the Washington Conference. This is us, Guyanese, in America, Americans, going to meet with their representatives. Barrett Jagdale called for a boycott of that event. Barrett Jagdale said any business that supports the Washington Conference, he will destroy, he's going to embarrass them, he's going to expose them, people must not support them. He even threatened members of Congress, if they dare go to that Washington conference. He's going to confront them and embarrass them and bring them down. He used those words. He's going to bring them down. And all of a sudden, we didn't hear anybody. Everybody was quiet. It was Rickford Burke and CJ alone fighting him. Right? We didn't hear the voices of dissent right now that we're hearing in the community saying anything. Barry Jagdale and his government took away the funding from the largest black organizations and called for a boycott of EPADG. We didn't hear a single person say anything. Barry Jagdale and his government destroyed the homes of black people, dragged black women through the mud. We didn't hear anything from some of these people in this community and in Guyana speaking out. Barrett Jagdale and the PPP government have been boycotting your radio station since they came to power. Nobody said anything. Barrett Jagdale and his government have defunded ACTA. They stopped funding ACTA, the black organization that organizes August 1, Emancipation Day. Nobody said anything. Barry Jagdale and his government sent gunmen to our homes in America. They wrote the US government saying that we're criminals. No one said anything.
I don't know who they're writing about that, but when we look at the atrocities, there's so many black businessmen, African Guyanese businessmen.
Yes,
there's so many African Guyanese who cannot speak out because if they speak out, they're not going to get a job. They're not going to get anything.
Contracts.
Lots of things are happening back in Guyana. There are thousands of African Guyanese who have had their lands taken away as a result of this corrupt, racist PPP regime.
They're boycotting Afro-Guyanese contractors. They're taking away security contracts from contractors. They're not giving African Guyanese contracts. They're boycotting them. So where are the voices? And that's why we're saying, don't bring them into this community and give them a pass. If they come here, they must be held to account. They must explain to us why they're contemptuous of black people and why must we listen to them. When Barra Jagdale said, don't let David Granger and his ministers into your community. If they come, chase them out. Not one of these people said anything. So I don't want to hear from them now. Simple.
Let's go to this here and remind folks as to what the PPP and Jagdale is all about.
Right across Ghana, when the ministers of Granger or Nagamutu come here after the 21st of March, you say to them, walk behind them, chase them out. They're going to be illegal. Say it to them.
Well, he can say chase them out, but we can't say chase Irfan Ali out of Brooklyn. Chase him out of Brooklyn until they get things right in Guyana. And I don't
know why, Mark?
They're not going to get to chase them out wherever they go. Simple as
that.
But
you know what, Mark? It is ethnic supremacy. He believes that he's as an East Indian is superior and supreme to black leaders. So he could say that, and we mustn't do the opposite. And the persons who condone them and who have joined with them to attack us, they're also holding up ethnic supremacy practiced by Barry Jagdale and the PPP.
They're doing that indeed. 57 minutes after 9 o'clock, the racist PPP regime, those who have organized and that masquerade in Brooklyn need to apologize. The few who have done that, they know who they are. They need to apologize. What is your take on him barging into businesses? And look at this, a kitchen, a bakery.
Beer hands.
Rickford, right after he left Kings County Hospital, this is what they were doing. Same clothes, same everything in a bakery. What's your take on all of this disrespect to businesses? We don't see him doing this in Queens.
I think it was a mistake for the business owners to allow him to do that. It actually is against the law. If you're cooking in New York State, you're required to obey certain hygiene rules, and he violated them. So that could have been a violation. I think we have to be more conscious. I think people fell for this celebrity president, or not even celebrity president, but the fact that he's the president and he came to their establishments. Some of these establishments said that he just came in. They were not told that he was coming. They weren't asked permission for him to enter. They just walked in, and that's unfortunate. I think that, but we as a people, this is America. We have choices. This is America. We should not have allowed him to do that. And again, like I said, it's your right. I believe you shouldn't. That's my right to express my opinion. And to the extent that you allow him, you should hold him accountable. The health thing, that's unsanitary. It was against the hygiene rules of the city. It's against the ordinances of the city, and it should not have been allowed. But I come back to the fact that we have to hold these people accountable, and I maintain that that was a campaign photo op, and we will see these very people being used in PPP ads saying that they support the PPP.
Of course, and the campaign ads have already started. That's what they're doing. You know, I noticed there's some one or two of them saying, if Trump comes to your business, you will let him in. That is not the question. Whoever this Tito, Paul is, or whomever, the question is not, you have to show respect to people's business. If you walk into somebody's business, you got to show the business owner some respect. You're not going to walk right into their kitchen and clap roti. And look how this guy's hanging around. The pot is open. I don't know if it's garbage underneath a little table there with a little clock. And roti. You cannot do that. Nobody does these sort of things. And I don't know why the business owners allow this guy to just walk right into their kitchen. Nobody's saying that he doesn't have a right to walk in a business and probably take pictures who want to take pictures. That's their right. But you cannot invade people's business like this. Look at how he has exposed. This is all over the internet. Look at what he's doing. He went to Queens, Rickford, and he stopped by the businesses, restaurants, and he stood with the workers and the owners, and he took photographs. No photograph like this of him invading people's kitchen, but he felt comfortable doing this in Brooklyn.
No, he wants to show that he's accepted that he could do this with black people, because the issue is they're facing international backlash for their apartheid policies. And so they're on a campaign to show that they're validated and to get validation from black people. That's why when they go all around the world and in CARICOM, they try to take pictures with these black leaders, and you see them in the campaign. That's why they're fighting up to go meet with black members of Congress. They want validation because the image of their racism has damaged them significantly. And so they are out to show that black people like them. They can ingratiate themselves with black people. And he wants to show that that's why he did that. The point is that we have to reject it because we know what it is. And you know what? The day after he did that, he went and tore down the stalls of the black vendors at the Georgetown seawall. He did exactly what they did in Agricola. And you know what? They have never apologized. The PPP has never apologized for their racism in Guyana. And for those black people, African Guyanese, who want to associate with them and think that they're good to them, demand that. At least demand that. At least show some dignity and demand an apology for what they did to this woman in Bucca. Demand an apology for how many thousands of people they killed in the 1960s during the race wars. Demand an apology for all those black men that they killed, about 1,400 of them between 1999 and 2010. Extrajudicially. Demand an apology for the murder of Courtney Camuing. Demand an apology for the murder of Ronald Waddle. Why must we sacrifice our dignity for support of the PPP? It is disgusting, and I make no apologies. I would never stop campaigning until there is justice for all those people these murderers have killed.
What level of pushback we are getting from the opposition?
I don't know. I don't know, Mark. I'm still looking for the push.
Right. Yeah, I had to pause there for a moment. Still
I think the opposition is trying, given the circumstances. They face a challenge for resources. But I think the opposition needs an injection of energy and an injection of dynamism so that they could blow these people away, not physically with violence, but politically. You know, we can't have a mediocre, lackluster opposition that we have. They have to speak. Over 200,000 or close to 200,000 people voted for the opposition. They have a right to representation.
238,000.
Huh? How much?
Almost
Exactly.
240,000. Yeah.
Exactly. So those people deserve representation, and I think the opposition can do much more to represent them.
Yep, much more indeed to represent them. The people need that sort of aggressive representation.
And there are some opposition members of parliament and regional chairmen and councillors and NDC councillors and mayors and town councils working. But I think, generally speaking, they can do much more to be more effective as an opposition.
And we're seeing a lot of Guyanese that are out now in Linden. I know that they have this school that has not been completed, and hundreds of young people do not have access to a school. They have to walk miles. It costs more for their parents and everything. But we hardly see folks going out to protest and say enough is enough out there in Linden. But I must give the Lindeners kudos. They're out now. Linden Tongue Week in their thousands. In their thousands. Rickford, closing remarks on the way forward in confronting this evil, racist PPP regime as they prepare for elections in Guyana to vote these vagabonds out of office. Your closing remarks, please.
Well, there's no question that we need a change of government. We have to get rid of this government, or else what we have is the establishment of a full ethnocracy and an apartheid regime that is anti-Black. I think the PP government has demonstrated over the years that they are the most brutally oppressive and violently racist regime in the Western Hemisphere. And we in the diaspora are working to create awareness in Washington, create awareness in the United States across the board with policymakers that talk is cheap. Go on the ground and see what is happening. We have condemned the human rights report issued by the State Department. It is fiction. No corruption, no human rights abuses by the government. I think it's fiction, and it's an insult to the Guyanese people who face brutality from this government on a daily basis. Shame on the State Department, shame on the US Embassy in Guyana. And I want to tell Guyanese across the board that we have to make an assessment for what we want as a country. Do we want a country where we have Indian supremacist rulers that shut out Black people, shut out East Indians who don't support them, shut out the Amerindian community, and only want to use the resources of the country for their own supporters? Or do we want to have broad development? We want to make sure that everybody is benefiting from the resources of the country and the national patrimony. We want to have what is called inclusive governance and inclusive growth, where all of us can benefit from it. And the way to do that is to vote the PPP out of power. The PPP does not believe in inclusion. The PPP does not believe that everyone should benefit from the resources of the country. And so we have to try to work to develop a coalition that can represent the people of Guyana, who can look at all our interests and our needs and craft a national strategy to bring about national development on behalf of everybody in the nation.
Thank you so much, Rickford Burke, president of the Caribbean Guyana Institute for Democracy. Rickford, let me just say that a country, when the people are being oppressed by any regime, the people have a right to stand up and say enough is enough in a democratic way. That's their constitutional right. It is unfair for us to sit, or anyone to sit, and whether they sit in Guyana or outside Guyana, to look in the direction of the State Department and say, y'all do something, or to blame the US Embassy on the ground and say that they're not doing enough. When majority of Guyanese and majority of Guyanese elected officials who are being paid to stand up and represent their people back in Guyana aren't doing it. So if their own Guyanese people aren't doing it, do you expect the US Embassy, who are not elected officials by Guyana, to do something? Is that what you're saying?
let me just say that I agree with you that Guyanese need to stand up and fight for their own rights, fight for what is theirs, and fight for their human dignity. But I think the State Department has a responsibility to be fair and balanced and to accurately describe and forecast what's happening on the ground. I don't think they've done that. Over the years, they've always been shortchanging our community, put it that way. And I believe it's because the State Department still has a colonial outlook on us in the Western Hemisphere. I think it's within the culture and the DNA of the State Department to act a certain way for certain communities.
Roland Bullen was a very good ambassador back then. He did a lot to save Guyana.
But he had cultural awareness.
Ambassador John Jones did a lot also. So it's not like they have a colonial. It depends on who is there as the ambassador. But I still give this young ambassador, very fresh there, Nicole, I still give her kudos. However, I'm mentioning ambassadors, U.S. ambassadors that looked out for the interest, the human rights interest. We've had Brent as well. Brent is the ambassador that Priya Manikchand coursed and all manner of things right there at the U.S. embassy residence.
Well, my comments are not directed at the ambassador because this ambassador is new, and the report was from last year, so she wasn't there last year. I think what we need to have is I think the State Department needs a wider diversity of human resource serving in countries where they have a diverse population. Well, let me just say that.
Well, the U.S. State Secretary of State wanted that to happen. That is why he sent our friend over to Jamaica's U.S. ambassador, Nick Perry, Ambassador Nick Perry. And I'll just say this before we go. They were about to do the same to Guyana, to send an African Guyanese American who was born in Guyana, of course. And there were lots of things that happened. Jack Deo and Irfan knew what they objected to. And that is why they took Nicole out from Pakistan, where she was the consulate officer responsible for consular affairs, and sent her. This is her first stint as ambassador to Guyana. But a lot of things went on behind the scene to have an ambassador in a country that reflects the cultural representation of the people. So we all know what happened behind the scene. Rickford?
Well, of course, the PP would only support an East Indian. You know, that's exactly ethnic supremacy.
They didn't go to support a respectable 4- or 5-star general. They didn't do that. But Rickford, please, I'll see you again on Church Avenue. I'll spend my money at some places, and I'll keep my wallet with my $13 I now have inside. I'll keep it locked because you know why? I respect my wallet. We respect my
and
wallet.
I respect your right to do that.
Boycott is still on. Boycott is my word. We're not running away from that, Rickford. Thank you so much.
I'm not running away from it. I'm not running away from the people's right to do that.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rickford Burke talking about don't spend, same as boycott. How are you guys feeling? Before I go, I want to ask you guys a question. What do you think of this kitchen? I don't know where this kitchen is, but folks are saying it's a bakery. I don't know. But look at the pot that is open. Look how this guy is eating over the bakery, the roti, the pot of food. There's cook up. My favorite. I love cook up. Right? What's happening here, guys? Let me get your take before we go, please. All of you. Let me get your take. All of you. Put your rating. Describe what you see here. Describe. Come on, Joylyn Cutting. You can describe. Let's see what Joylyn Cutting has to say here. What's going on? What do you think happening here? Francine Chin and others. Nadia Zitman. All of you. What do you guys think that's happening here? He came right from Kings County, you know, and other places, knockabout, jump on a bicycle. All these things, shook hands, hug up. And look what's happening here. Is this fair to the business people that they walk into a business place like this, videos and cameras, and think that it is comfortable? Look at this is what they do to people's business. They don't care. They're the ones who don't care. They don't give a rat's you know what. Look at it. Come on, Rhonda Lane, take a look. Lily Gulliver, John C. Paul, you guys take a look. Claudette Allen, Morna Grandma, Rajan Bim. Look at what is happening here. And then I noticed someone mentioned earlier about Kings County. Of course, somebody needs to, or if it's not going to be that, there should be a protest in front of Kings County to ask exactly who gave permission for Jack the Irfan Ali to barge into Kings County Hospital just like that. Who gave permission for that? Who? Who told Irfan Ali that he can go to Kings County, stop traffic, stop the nurses from working, stop the emergency room and all these different things, whatever it is? Who gave permission for that? You know what? We should organize a protest in front of Kings County Hospital, asking the right questions. Who gave permission for that? And why? Francine Cruz and all the others, I hope you guys are prepared to go in front of Kings County Hospital with placards and ask who gave Irfan Ali permission for that. Who? I'm not sure, Sandra Brotherson, whether he was a patient or not. Wesley Ward is saying, let's go in front of Kings County Hospital. Now is not time for joke. Now is not time to sit back and allow a handful of people to hijack the community. It is not going to happen. That is why the boycott must continue. Save your money. Just like people looking at Irfan and telling Irfan that I don't know who is we that respect him. But what we respect is we respect our community, we respect our money, and we want to save our money at this time until there is an apology. And people can be as hard-headed as they want. It is going to continue. The business will continue as usual. All week this week. If there's no response to the community, all week next week. And then it will expand into other areas and other forms of businesses. Enough said for now. Brooklyn, we always love you. Brooklyn is in our hearts for many, many reasons. And for this, shame on you, Irfan Ali. Shame on you for disrespecting people's business. Shame on you. The business owners need to do what is right. And do what is right as quickly as possible. In the meantime, support those who support you. And those who support the oppressors, do not support them. Simple as that. That's as simple as it gets. Somebody mentioned Donna McKinnon. Yep. Many folks don't know Donna McKinnon. And some people, a woman own a business and look at what these guys like Ben Sharp and a Burke and others, look at what they're doing to a black woman. But they didn't ask Irfan Ali or tell Irfan, look what he's doing to black women in Guyana. They didn't remind Irfan Ali that under the PPP regime, a black woman who was a vendor by the name of Donna McKinnon. How many of you remember Donna McKinnon? She was shot and killed. She was murdered. She was assassinated right in front of Freedom House. Right in front of Freedom House. But y'all didn't care then. Y'all didn't care. Y'all didn't give a rat's. You know what then. Let me say good night to Mark. Welcome. Mark, welcome. What's going on? You know, Mark, welcome. Is there. He's happy. He's an MC out there. I haven't spoken to Mark Welcome in a while. Hope to have a conversation with him soon. Hope to have a conversation with him soon. But for now, my name is Mark Benshap, and I'll be back tomorrow, same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. Thank you all so much. God bless you, and God continues to bless our beautiful country, Guyana. One people, one nation, one destiny. And yes, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Many people are pretending, some are pretending that it's the way that it should be. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you. But some people are asking what a country can do for you. Oh my way. Hey man, what I could gain out of this, now, man. Be careful with those people. Be careful. Some people are saying that the coalition government didn't do nothing with them. Right, Tony? Huh? The coalition government didn't do nothing with them. The coalition government didn't do nothing for persons of Africa. All manner of dotishness. Hey, the best regime over the past 30 years in Guyana was the coalition government. They've made mistakes, yeah. But 5 years, what y'all expect? Rome to be built in 5 years? You know how many young black men were saved? You know how many of our Indian brothers were happy that they didn't have to pay bribery and all these sort of things? That was a good government. But they were kicked out of office. They were kicked out. We've got to correct that next elections. God bless you all. Until tomorrow, same place, same time. Boycott, boycott, boycott. Story done.
Right across Ghana, when the ministers of Granger or Nagamutu come here after the 21st of March, you say to them, walk behind them, chase them out, they're going to be illegal. Say to them, you're illegal. Free up the country. Right across Ghana, when the ministers of Granger or Nagamutu come here after the 21st of March, you say to them, walk behind them, chase them out, they're going to be illegal. Say to them, you're illegal. Free up the country, you're on them.
Yeah, this is the elite team. The root team. Strong team.
Number one.
PPP team. Yeah. You understand me?
How we gonna do a body man walk right now? You ready? Fuck, so let me go now. Hear me sing now. Body walk, body walk, body walk, everything. Body walk, truck, body walk.
Oh, Jesus Christ, if cost of living double, I don't know what happened. A pound of sugar is $300 already. Flour, everything gone up. Everything just raising. You gotta get about $40,000 for buy good ration. You gotta get 3 man now. A weekend man, a monthly man, and a fortnight man.
With another one, straight up, black Messiah. Aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop. Defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop. Radio station is the fruit. Mark Ben stop. Straight up from the root. Mark Ben stop. Who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop. Defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop. Radio station is the fruit. Mark Ben stop. Straight up from the root. Mark Ben stop. I do it for the love. Him not do it for no money. Straight up. Him attack. Educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up and Scott stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can need it, don't contact, the cripple can walk. Who tell the truth? Mark Ben stop. Defend the ghetto youth. Mark Ben stop. Radio station is the truth. Mark Ben stop. Straight up from the root.